All my reviews in Edinburgh would be like, what a breath of fresh air. He's just doing jokes. What a lovely palate cleanser for the rest of the festival. And you're like, the comedy festival. And the guy doing jokes is standing out. What are you on about?
Welcome to the podcast, by the way. Thanks for coming on. I really, really appreciate that, man. When's the last time I seen you was at that Apple event.
New iPhone. New iPhone event.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But no, thanks for joining the pod, man. So you didn't grow up in London?
I grew up in Hertfordshire.
Grew up in Hertfordshire?
Yeah.
It's kind of like London, really, isn't it?
It was a 25-minute train into central London.
Yeah.
But, I didn't do that much, I suppose.
But like Hertfordshire's a bit interesting because like when I moved to North London, I was like, right, Hertfordshire's really, really close. But then it's like, there's some places that I didn't even know was Hertfordshire. Like I just thought St Albans was St Albans. I thought it was its own place. And I think because I grew up like in real inner city like London, I thought like St Albans was like, right, that sounds really far. But then when you're in Hertfordshire, you're like, everywhere feels quite close together. Hatfields, St Albans.
Yeah, that's where I grew up, was like Harpenden, which is the next one to St Albans. It's in between St Albans and Luton.
Yeah.
And that's where it drops off a cliff. In terms of, St Albans. I do these gigs in St Albans sometimes and I'm like, I say like I'm from Harpenden or whatever and people boo and I go, fuck off, you like us.
Yeah.
We're a little breakwater before you get to Luton.
Yeah.
We put in some distance.
Luton is real,
Luton's where I used to go, like, that's when I was first allowed as a teenager or whatever to like go out on my own kind of thing with our parents. It's like you go into town in Harpenden but then it'd be like, you want to go to Luton because that's where the cinema is and bowling and the Namco arcade and the Arndale. And you'd go to Luton and it would always be Luton is where people say, have you got time?
We had a Namco, but our Namco was in, where is it? It's on South Bank. It used to be on South Bank.
Wow.
That's where the Namco used to be.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like a fancy Namco to me.
Well, the thing is, it's like, you would go there because if you went to like Trocadero, which was in Piccadilly back in the day, you would get robbed. That would, so you go there and you'll be like, okay. So Namco was okay because it's mainly that tourist that went there. But I think they've shut it down though now. But that would be like,
I would get robbed in Luton quite a lot when I would go.
Listen, Luton,
to do that.
My geography of Luton is mainly based on 24 hours in police custody. Luton and Bedford. That's my perception of Luton. I'm like, it kicks off,
big
man.
Players on shows like that.
Yeah.
Luton again.
I'm like, right, London ain't too bad. I
once won on an arcade machine in the Namco in Luton. I won a mobile phone. On like the claw thing.
Oh shit!
I picked up a thing and like you exchanged it and it was like, this is like a phone. It was like a Sagem phone.
Oh yeah.
You know that? Remember that?
Yeah, you're showing your age now, boy.
Yeah, right. Oh no, I'm old. But I won that and then basically like left the Namco bit into the normal bit of Arndale or whatever, and I just sort of immediately got mugged for it.
Yeah,
it was still in the box. I just immediately was just taken.
Like back in those days where you're just like, come on, man, this is not a phone that's robbable. I felt like you just
Sagem phone.
I feel like back
even
in the day,
at the time it was like at least get a Nokia.
Yeah, because Nokia was like the iPhone of its time, innit?
Yeah.
So if you taken a Sagem, you're just following through with the robbery now.
I just looked muggable. I was just so muggable. I still am pretty muggable.
No, man.
But I just but then it was like I was so small for my age anyway, and I was just like holding this. I would have just looked like the perfect.
When
kid
you was young, was you quite short?
Yeah.
Because you're what, like 6 foot, right? 6 foot, 6'2"?
Yeah, well, let's call it 6 foot. Why not? Yeah, that tells you the answer, doesn't it? I'm 5'11", and I'm brave enough to say that.
Did you have a growth spurt?
No, it was gradual, but it was like I was just like a real late bloomer, so I always looked really young, and I was really short, and I had braces till I was like 18.
Okay.
So I was up against it.
Yeah, because you got good teeth, man.
So that's because I had braces till I was 18.
Yeah, bro. Your teeth are good, man.
Thank you very much.
But the only reason why I say it, because I got my teeth done, innit? So when you get your teeth done, it gives you the confidence to start telling other people. Right. You're like, oh, you got great teeth, man. Because before that, I was like, I'd say it silently to myself. Great teeth.
You'd say, yeah.
I would say,
you'd be furious.
But then you could look at because I had small teeth. That was my thing. I had some small joints. So I had a lot of gum with small teeth.
Did people mock you for that?
Yeah, they'd be like, you got cute teeth. I'm like, that's not, I don't like that. I fucking hate it.
Well, I had to put up with the word cute a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the thing where it's like, that's what girls would say to me. They would just be like I played football and stuff, so I was friends with all the all the cool guys. And they would just be getting called like fit and sexy and stuff by the girls, and it would be like, and your cute friend.
Yeah, it gets to an age where you're like,
that was a hard one
come on, man. That's what your auntie says.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When there's a girl, you're like, oh my God, I like you, but you're cute. You're like, oh, fuck off.
Well, it's over for me. So, yeah, I guess I'll... Yeah, but also, I was writing a lot of poetry and stuff for these girls, so,
Did you
I
write
deserved
poetry?
it. Oh, big time, yeah.
Swear?
Yeah.
That's your romance. That's you're in, yeah?
Oh, I was doing way worse than that, but I was
What were you
writing
doing?
poems. I once sent a single white rose
Yeah.
to a girl's house, and
Yeah.
I had never met this girl, and she had never heard of me until she saw my name underneath the phrase, your secret admirer, and then my full name, which is very much the opposite of a secret admirer. And also it's creepy, isn't it? Because a secret admirer is sort of like, someone in the office. So, like, you do know, who is it going to be? And there's a bit of mystery. Not just, like, a random stranger from the town you live in who's been observing you on the internet.
But that's romance, though, man.
Look.
To send a rose, flowers.
We're still in touch.
How old was you at this time?
I was probably 13, 14.
Okay.
But one single white rose, I think, is, like, more... It feels like a sort of something you do to, like, mark someone in the mafia to say, like, you're next. It doesn't feel romantic, does it? That was a 13-year-old's budget. That was the issue. That's why it was one.
Yeah.
But, like, no, it needs to be a bunch of red roses,
I feel like it's the thing that you do where you think, in your head, you're like, this is going to be so romantic.
This is going to pop off. Yeah, I'm going to look like the...
Yeah.
This is going to change my life. We're going to get together straight away and live happily ever after.
So you sent it to her house. You had her address.
I've got her address from someone. Yeah, I didn't follow her around.
Yeah.
But I asked a friend of hers, so I did.
Because I just think, like, like in your head where you've done that, you're like, this is really romantic. But I just think, like, what that would feel like for a parent now. To be like,
wait, the parent of the guy sending it or the parent of the girl receiving it?
The parent of the girl receiving it. Because you'd be like, oh, right, someone didn't just give you this in school or just leave it at the doorstep. It's like, what child went to the depths to send this?
Yeah, and I'm not even certain that you could do that on the internet at the time. So I might have had to go into a florist and say, can you deliver this to this house? And, like, really arrange it. Fucking hell. And that's not, like, I was a guy who was big on big gestures. So I'd watched this show called The OC. Do you remember that show, The OC?
Yeah, The OC.
About Orange County. And there's a character in that called Seth Cohen, who was also supposed to be a bit of a dweeb. He was like it was Adam Brody, who was like a 26-year-old guy who's like ripped. But he's meant to be like a pathetic dweeb. So he represents me in the show. And he's always kind of like doing these gestures and it's working because it's a TV show.
Yeah.
So I would always do stuff like that. And like, there was a girl I was in love with for a long time at school. And then I bought us, this is showing my age as well, I bought us 2 tickets to go and watch Kate Nash do a concert.
Oh, right, boy.
In between buying the tickets and going to the gig, she got a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And, there's some thought in your head of being like, oh, I wonder how sort of threatened he is by the idea that I've got us these tickets and we're still going to this thing. Well, he's so unthreatened that he drove us to the gig. He was just like, yeah, have a great time. Here's some money. He was just like, yeah, whatever. Just enjoy it.
How old is he?
Here's some oysters.
My head is spinning right now.
I'm probably 15, maybe 16 at this point.
So he took
16.
you to the gig with his girl?
Yeah. Because he was like, oh, you're going off with your lame little friend.
So he wasn't even a friend.
This guy's not doing. Yeah, he's not going to try it on. It's fine. Yeah, I bought the tickets as a romantic gesture, and then it's like, oh, fuck's sake, we've got to go now. And then he was just like, yeah, cool.
Oh, right, boy.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
That's Kate Nash. Kate Nash had the song about lemons and bitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitter.
Yeah.
Doing all the very. It was like very Mockney style, wasn't it? It was like It was just after Lily Allen.
Yeah, I remember that phase. Because in my head, I was like, I was just thinking, did he say Kate Nash or Kate Bush? I was like, right.
Wow, Kate Bush, that's bold.
Imagine going to see Kate Bush
on
16.
on a non-date that you're trying to make a date. Wow, that's intense.
That's some big tickets to give away, man.
Yeah.
Shit, I would definitely jump at the chance, man. But you went. So your beginning. So you went to university at University of Manchester, right?
Yeah.
What was that like? Because I know that's quite a. I feel like that's one of those universities. It's up there with like your Leeds, University of Leeds. I feel like University of Newcastle, where I feel like people. Whenever you go to one of those universities that's in a place like Manchester, which I think Manchester's great for nightlife. It's almost like you're like, I'm really leaving home. I'm leaving home.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm moving to a big city.
Big industrial city, Manchester.
Yeah,
it's very intimidating.
Massively. Yeah. What was that like for you? Because you studied politics and international relationships, right? International relations.
I'd already started doing gigs at this point. So
okay.
I did my first gig before I went to uni.
Oh, sick.
And so all I cared about was doing gigs and being a comedian. And so a big part of the decision to go to Manchester was there's loads of gigs there.
Oh,
so it's like
cool.
kind of got to a point when it was between Nottingham and Manchester. And I was like, I can be a comedian in Manchester. I am a uni student in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And that kind of informed the whole thing. So like most of my social life was around doing comedy. I would go on these nights out and stuff, but really it's like it got to a point where like, oh, it's a Saturday, everyone's going to this club or whatever. Well, I'm going to Oldham to do 10 minutes, hoping to get 20 quid next time, kind of thing. Because I just only care about being a comedian. Bless you.
Sorry,
and so I didn't really I didn't engage with uni as much as I wish I had, but because I was just like, and I was just constantly trying to drop out as well, but my parents wouldn't let me. But I was constantly being like, I'm a comedian, I'm going to be a comedian. Thank God I didn't drop out, because obviously you need that time to actually get competent.
What made you want to be a comedian?
It's one of those weird things where like I just wanted to. I think we do this thing, we all love to do this thing where it's like create this origin story around like, oh, I had to be a wisecracker because, you know, I was small. I could easily intellectualize this and say I was small and like I was in the cool gang, but so I had to be like Joe Pesci to those guys and like be all cracking wise because that's the only way they'd keep me around because I wasn't good enough at football and people would bully me, but then I would say a quip and you go, I just wanted to be, and then I was. That's the reality of it, is like I was a big fan of comedy and I would watch all the DVDs of all the comedians, and then I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And also, you know, talks to sort of the privilege of my upbringing a bit, that there's never been a moment like from 15 onwards where I didn't think, well, I will be this. People always ask me in interviews, like, when was the moment it clicked and you thought, like, this is actually going to work, like 5 years in or something? It's like, no, it's the opposite. I just assumed I'll just keep going until it happens.
Was you quite confident? Because when you were talking about, you know, if you're sending a rose to a girl or you're like, I'm going to buy you 2 tickets, I feel like as someone who is at that age, who is romantic, it's like a level of confidence to be like, well, I like you enough that I want to take you out, or I like you enough that I'm going to send a rose to your house, and I'm going to, like, I'm going to send it to your house. I'm not going to leave it on a doorstep and you're never going to know. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like a level of confidence that you know it's going to come back to you, and I feel like it's the same.
I think it was naivety. The romantic stuff was just like, just not really realising that this is so embarrassing and everyone will take the piss out of you for this. Because I was deathly afraid of being embarrassed, which is a mad thing to then do those sorts of gestures. That they did feel like a secret to me. Like I thought, this is so personal. No one would ever tell their friends about this and mock me about this. You go, of course they do. Because imagine receiving a single white rose from a stranger and telling no one. That's worse than sending it. It's so creepy. So no, I was like shy and quite angsty. I think the thing with sending those things is like, if the girl I'd sent that rose to had responded and been like, let's meet up right now, I would have been terrified. And then I would have been like, I would have been stuttery, and I would have been really nervous if we had met up then. So it wasn't confidence. It was like, if there was distance, like it felt abstract to send or to write a poem or to send a rose. Because I wasn't confronted with the actual thing. Stand-up wise, I don't really know, because I was like a nervous kid, but I would do skits in assemblies and stuff.
Okay.
And again, I could intellectualize that and say it was about control and getting laughs on my terms and stuff. And it's like, no, I just think I like performing. I like acting. So I was just like, this is what I can do. And I don't know, there was something about like, because obviously stand-up can be so embarrassing. But I find it now, I don't know if you have this, if it goes badly, I'm sort of embarrassed for the audience rather than me. I'm like, you came to it, you fucking idiot. I was always going to do this. Unlucky. You've had a terrible night out. I'm still going home.
I know what you mean. There's moments where you're like, this didn't really go to plan, didn't really go well. But there's a confidence I probably have now, knowing where you're like, it's all right though.
Yeah,
like
it's that, isn't it? You just sort of, because if you die on your ass enough times, you know, this doesn't matter at all.
It probably
it doesn't matter.
And
you know, I've had enough like great gigs that also didn't matter.
They
was just like they ended and then it was over, and there's like nothing comes of that either. So you might as well just dismiss all of them immediately. You just end up at home on the sofa if it goes well or badly.
You'll do the gig of your life, and then like, I don't know if you have this where, you know, like sometimes for me, it's my adrenaline is so high. I'm like, wow, that was great. And I'll be talking about maybe like a callback or something that I've done to myself on the way home, and I'm driving, I'm like, that bit was great, and I really like that bit, and could have that bit. And then you kind of get home and you're like, okay,
back to reset.
All right, go wash the dishes.
Yeah, exactly. There's been enough examples of like, wow, I'm riding on such a high, back to reality, that is exactly the same for like, wow, I'm on such a low from that, and then it's just like, you are going to have to go home, and you're just back to normal straight away, so you sort of don't care.
You said just a minute ago where you were saying about how like you would do like performances on stage at school, and you like to do skits. Where did that come from? Was that honing in on just like a funny that you might have? Because for me, like I remember growing up and I used to love watching like Eddie Murphy or like Jim Carrey in a lot of those kind of silly films.
Yeah.
That made it like, it felt like it was okay to be silly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when I'd be in school, it was like, okay, cool, I'm going to be silly because I've seen that honed in like a film that I love. Where did that come for you in terms of like wanting to perform like on stage at like school or, you know, like a drama class at such a young age?
So I think it's my friend Sam. When I was growing up, my best mate was like in this. We were like 10, and he was going every weekend to. I'd be like, "What are you doing this weekend? Let's hang out," kind of thing. And then he'd be like, "Oh, I can't. I go to this like drama club."
Oh, okay.
In Luton, actually.
Yeah.
Luton Amateur Dramatic Society. God, imagine that. But lads, the acronym is lads. And then he was like, I go to that, and he's just like, you should just come. And then I went once, and it really was like out of my comfort zone. Certainly at that age, I wasn't funny yet. I wasn't trying to be funny yet, and I was like not very forthcoming with this stuff. I probably was at my most shy around that age. But I went to this thing, and it was all like kind of improv-y games and stuff like that. And a lot of it would be, okay, right, you, and then I'd do it after school on Thursdays and then on Saturdays, and it would be like, you three go off, and it would be, he put us in threes kind of thing, and then it would be like, go off and come up with a wedding scene, and that's like all you'd have, and you've got 10 minutes and you come up with it. And I just noticed that every time we did that, I would really push for like it to be a comedy scene, like a sketch, and I would really push for the big funny part.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's the only thing I understood how to do. From watching it, you could be like, all right, like you say, watching those people, you go really big, and you sort of shout, and you just like seem crazy. That's not how I do comedy now at all. But at the time, it was like, as a kid, you're kind of, that's the comedy you're exposed to. And so I would always do that, and we'd always come back in, and they'd be like, the reason I put you three as a group is because you're 10 and you could play a kid, and you've played the father of the bride in this thing and gone crazy. What are you doing? And I was like, it seemed funnier. And then we did one big play that we did at this theatre in Luton for like a week, and that was Oliver. And obviously I looked exactly like Oliver Twist. And so based on no talent, just on appearance, I got cast as Oliver. Just from then I was like, right, well, I'm the main part now, so I can do anything. But then I quit immediately, that drama group. And then back at school doing drama, I just had so much confidence, because the one time I'd done a play, I was the lead part. Which I didn't realise was obviously purely on appearance and not on skill. Because all the feedback would be like, wow, isn't it brilliant that you remember all those lines? Which is the most insulting thing you can say to a comedian, which is, except, how do you think that went? Or did you enjoy that? Yeah. But if you say, well, how do you remember it all? Well, they're my thoughts. So I'm not remembering it. I'm just speaking.
It's life.
Exactly. I'm just talking about my own life. But that was like the feedback, which means that was shit acting, but you are 10. But and then it would just be like, I would do drama at school, and then my same friend was doing drama as well, and it would just be like, we would just get asked, I think, like, oh, will you guys do like a sketch in assembly for end of year and stuff? And then we would always just write. They were always like Breakfast Clubby type sketches. They were like a detention scene or something like that, and we would just play the stereotypes of like one of us is a goth and one of us is like a rude boy or something. But they always went well. You know what I mean? It wasn't embarrassing. It wasn't like, I think people were just like, yeah, this is good. So I think all the people you expect to bully you for that were sort of my friends. And so they were just like, yeah, cool. That's what you do. And then we play for the football team. So it's fine.
It's so interesting, because it was similar where I went to school and we would do drama and you come up with a scene. I don't know why though, we would always do bank robbery scenes.
Yeah, nice.
Bank robbery scenes. And
is that because you wanted to do like guns and you wanted props?
Kind of,
because there was always the guys in drama who would like go into the prop bit and just get out big sticks and just like be smashing sticks around, and then ask what the scene is. They'd be like, it's a sword.
But also, I don't know if you had this in GCSE drama, we would always have these mats. So in the side would just be a mat. So you're like, cool, I can clearly do the bank robbery, but you're going to shoot me, and I'm going to do the most dramatic fall. This mat. We clearly don't need this mat. We don't even need to fall. I don't even need to get shot in this. But you were like, no, I'm going to come in, and I go, there's no money here, but you shoot me, and it was just like, shoot.
So that you can just crash onto this mat. But that was great. That was so much fun.
We do that, but before we'd done that, we would just do, I don't know why, we just do wrestling. Wrestling would just be like, let's do a bit of wrestling first. Like, I don't know why.
Warm up with a bit of WWE. Well, that is acting, I suppose. But yeah, not what you mean, not relevant to the scene.
Not
Before you like came up with the scene, you would just wrestle.
And then the teacher would be like, "Oh, guys, you got 5 minutes left." And he's like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna go in, ask for the money. You're not gonna give me the money." And I don't know why we do this, but within this bank robbery scene, bear in mind there'd be about 4 of us, 4 boys. Someone would always give birth. I don't know what the fuck that was about. And he'd be like, "Yeah, but you're pregnant. You're a pregnant woman." And then someone would just put a jumper up their top and be like, "Please, I'm pregnant." And be like, why the fuck are we doing
is that
this,
when you're a kid, it's like that's the most dramatic thing you can imagine happening, is that like someone gives birth during a bank robbery. Is like, that's what, when you would have to devise a thing at GCSE. I think Stephen Merchant did a bit about this in like his DVD, where it's like all you tick off all the dramatic things that can happen in a drama. They all happen at once, and like it goes to a blackout and just chairs scrape along the floor. All being relocated and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Put the lights go, they fade out, and then they come back again.
It's a shame we didn't sort of wrestle to warm up for other subjects, isn't it? And it was like, solve this equation. It's like, give me a sec, and then you're just doing a DDT on someone, and I need to get it out my system.
So then, when you go to university, you started doing stand-up comedy. And you done some competitions as well, right?
Oh yeah, all those classic like.
How did you find the comps? Like, because you done like Comedy Central's Funniest Student, Laughing Boy as well.
I did all of them. I did like Laughing Horse, and I did.
Did you do Amuse Moose as well?
I did Amuse Moose, the old 60-second audition or whatever in the middle of the day. I did So You Think You're Funny, all this stuff. But they were all, and like Chortle, stuff like that. They were all right. They were all right. But what I found with competitions for a number of years was like the people who do best in those, because it's 5 minutes and there's 10 acts maybe every night, it's like the really distinctive, slightly weirder acts would always be the memorable ones who stand out. But then they were always the ones who struggled when they would win these competitions and then have to do 20 minutes somewhere or an hour somewhere to sustain, because there's no point of comparison. Everyone's doing normal stand-up. You're doing something crazy. This is so exciting to watch in this context. Then immediately after, all these people became great after a few years, but immediately after they'd get all these opportunities, and it would be like, actually, when there's not a load of normal stand-ups before you for you to stand out from, this is annoying. And so all the people who did really normal, straight stand-up at those competitions but don't stand out and didn't get that far could immediately go into the clubs and do a job kind of thing. So there was somewhere I did all right in those competitions, but typically they would be ones where there wasn't very many weird acts. You know what I mean? Where it's like everyone's a stand-up. That's where I might place and come third or something. But by comparison to anyone doing something a bit bolder, I would just sort of disappear. I would just be like, you know what I mean? I would just blend into the background kind of thing.
Competitions are crazy because it is... I think comedy competitions are crazy because a lot of the competitions... I remember there used to be some competitions where they say you have to bring a friend as an audience member. But also you can go to competitions and you see someone getting a lot of laughs and you're like, wow, this person's really good at getting a lot of laughs. But they brought about 15 people.
They got 20 people in the audience.
And you'd be like, it's weird because you're watching it and you're like, right, this guy's, this guy or this girl's like, all right, they're smashing it, man. And then at the end, when they've won, they'll be at the bar and all their mates are there and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I've been hoodwinked.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, so you can cheat this.
Yeah,
you can.
But
cheat
I wasn't that. I never wanted anyone to watch me for years. So like when I went to uni, there was like all the people I lived with at uni in first and second year, they were like, when can we? They spent 2 years being like, when can we come and watch? You keep saying you're a comedian.
Yeah.
And they would like see videos of me on the internet and be like, it's funny, I want to come watch. And I'd be like, no, let me get good. I'm shit. Let me get good. Because I was just like, I know there's something, but I haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
And so, also, I had bad experiences of bringing people really early on and having just like the worst deaths of all time and stuff. The first people I brought to gigs was like my parents, and they came to like a competition I did, and it went fine. But I like had jokes about them having sex and stuff like that, and I was like, but it wasn't true. I was just like, what's a crazy thing for a 17-year-old to say? But then they were there. Oh God, this is an awful memory actually. But yeah, it was stuff like that, really awkward stuff like that. But I would like scrape through often to like semi-finals, maybe occasional finals. I would never really do better than that. Yeah. How did you do? Did you win any?
I didn't win any. Laughing Horse, I think I got to a final of the Laughing Horse.
Nice.
That was fun because I was like, I'm in the final, and I never forget I had a really bad cold, and they done this thing where you have a number, you put it in a hat, and that's gonna dictate where everyone goes in the lineup.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, I've got a cold, but I was like, I just don't want to go first. I kept saying like, I want to just see what the vibe is. Because I've got a cold, I'm just going to like wait, see what the vibe is, and then boom, I can just do my set. I pick, boom, I'm first. I was like, it's done.
Yeah. Also, it's hardest because by the time they're judging it, you're the furthest away, to go, so no one remembers your set.
It was done. It was like the first one up, and yeah. And I can't remember, I think there was a guy where one of the other comics, and I was like, I'm first. And he was like, oh, it's all right, mate. Don't worry, man. You be fine. You smash it. Another guy looked at him and was like,
this guy's dreams are dead. His dream's dead.
It's like, you come on, bro. We all know, man.
Was there a person in your generation when you were doing the competitions who you always lost to? Was there anyone who was just like, this guy's just winning all of them?
No, because I only ever done, I think, 2 competitions.
Right, okay.
Like, I think I remember doing Laughing Horse before, and I think I might have got to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And then they say online, like, you can only enter this once. So I entered again. Yeah. And he didn't remember me. So I was like, great.
Yeah.
So I got to the finals.
That's how successful that first go was.
Yeah. I was like, perfect, man. Yeah, I think I might have won the semi-finals. I remember just waiting so long, but by the time I got on, I forgot about my set, and I was like, I think there was like a storm or something that had happened in the UK, so I kind of mentioned that. And I think even for the audience, it was like, a relief. Someone who's not doing like a structured set, he's just talking about what's happening right now. I think I won.
Well, yeah, because those new act competitions everyone is so scripted.
Oh yeah,
and they can't deviate.
It's what you've got in it. Yeah.
And you get such credit if something happens. Like, I remember doing one where as soon as I took the mic out of the stand, the cable fell out. And because I just sort of confidently did that, I made a joke. Like, that's the worst joke ever, probably, out of it. Of like, good start, or something lame. They were just like, what a brave young boy who's learned to deal with it and hasn't completely collapsed. And you're like, it'd be crazy to not reference it.
Yeah.
Or like if someone goes on, when there was like a really weird act or something, or really high energy guy, and you go on and you're deadpan, when those guys would go on and go like, oh, there's going to be a bit of a gear shift now, they would just get the biggest reaction because it was like, wow, you're doing the most basic level of competence of how to be a comedian on a bill, but you're brand new. Isn't this incredible?
Do you ever remember like seeing like some of those acts and they'd have like I remember seeing acts and they'd have like some stuff like prepared, like they might have like a suitcase and they're like, they've got props and they've got things and I'd be like, cool, man. And they go on and they get there early. They might have a costume on or something. You watch it and they're like, yeah, so, but it's hard because, you know, like when you know you're like, okay, you're kind of like a kind of character act with a load of props. And I know that if you've done this on a normal comedy night, it works because it's the randomness of what's going on, and it's an audience. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, yeah, so I've got this bit, and the joke might go to something else, and you're like, oh, that works. But on a competition where people are like, okay, cool, like I'm judging everyone, and it just never would work. No. Like I'd see so many acts that have like a suitcase with some props
it's always a suitcase, isn't it? Yeah, it's always like an old-fashioned 1950s suitcase.
Proper old school comedy, man.
Yeah, and it's like pun guys would have that. And
And they have, it's that thing where they got a joke, and then they throw it away, and then they've got another one, and I'd be sitting there watching just like...
It's too much effort to not be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because you're like, if you go into that much effort, you have to annihilate it. Because if you're going to that much effort and it's not working, it's like, and you really thought about this as well and you really tried. Whereas if you're just saying jokes, it's like, you can kind of make it seem like, I'm just riffing. So it's fine that this is bombing. But when you're like, no, I clearly prepared this because I attached these eyes to this cheese grater.
Listen.
So I've really thought about this gag. I wish I could think of what that joke would be.
So Laughing Horse was great. There wasn't anyone in it that I would always lose to. I think when I done Laughing Horse, I think the winner was I think Sophie Hagen won. She was incredible, man. Like, you know, when you just know you're like, this person's
you're
gonna
be
win.
A comic.
Yeah. This person's gonna win. And then I think I'd done Amuse Moose, and they'd done the final in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was just like, I hadn't been to Edinburgh, so I was like, wow, I'm going to Edinburgh, and I'm gonna do comedy there.
Yeah.
This feels amazing. And who won? I think George Lewis won. George Lewis won that one.
Nice.
I don't know where I got placed. I don't know. I wasn't second or third, but they done this like I don't know, like, you know, like where you don't get placed, but they have this whole like, here's an act that we loved, basically.
Right. A little honourable mention.
But it was kind of like a runners up, but it wasn't, if that makes sense. But I think
it's
that
sort of annoying that, because it's like you can't put that on a CV.
No,
all you're using these competitions for is to put them in emails to promoters to try and get gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, for years I had quarter finalist Laughing Horse on my email I would send.
Yeah.
And it's like, as if you're a promoter reading that thinking, well, I've got to book you. You got through one round of the easiest competition in England.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so embarrassing. Quarter finalist FA Cup. Like, who gives a shit? Yeah, that was, oh God, a horrible time. But that's like the way you do it, right? And the reason I entered all of them is because when I just started comedy, I started because I was like 17, and every comedian on TV, which is all I had access to, was 40, 50 years old. And so I thought, okay, I'll just get a job and then later on I'll be a comedian. But then Russell Howard and Jack Whitehall broke through, and they were both young. Jack Whitehall especially was like 18, 19 and was presenting Big Brother or something.
Yeah. He was one of your kind of inspirations at the time.
Well, I just looked him up. Yeah, I just looked up like, how is this young guy doing this?
Yeah.
And his CV at the time on like his website was all those competitions. It was all like, So You Think You're Funny, Laughing Horse, whatever, Hackney Empire, New Act of the Year. And then I was like, oh right, so that's how you present Big Brother.
Yeah.
You got a lot. He's the only example of that in history. And so I just entered all those competitions because of that. And so most of those competitions were my first gigs. It was like, because that was the only way I knew how to get stage time. I didn't go and do like a bunch of open mics and then do the competition. And I would get there and people would be like, the people you'd meet at like Laughing Horse, they would say like, oh, I'm going to wait a year to enter So You Think You're Funny because it's a bigger one. And I'd be like, wait a year?
Yeah.
I've already done it. It was like my third gig. And so I would, I would lose a lot of these gigs, but I was like brand new, and it was just like a way to get 5 minutes of stage time to a full audience. You
started getting like success quite early on in your career in terms of like going to competitions and going to, like the Edinburgh Fringe. Like you done your debut at the Pleasance Comedy Reserve, right?
Yeah, I did the Comedy Reserve. So that is like a mixed bill thing where the Pleasance, which is one of the big venues in Edinburgh, like do auditions, and then they pay for like 4 of you to come up, and all of you do 15 minutes on this bill a night.
I think it's one of the best ways to do it.
It's a really good way to do Edinburgh when you're new. And that's still the call when they said, you can do the Comedy Reserve, we'd like you to do the Comedy Reserve, it's still the most exciting moment of my career.
Yeah.
It's the most excited I've ever been. I was in my halls at uni in first year, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I get to actually do this. It's because I'd been to watch it the year before because Jack Whitehall had done it. So I'd seen on his CV that Jack Whitehall had done Pleasance Comedy Reserve. I thought, right, I've got to get on that. Went to watch it the year before, and Doc Brown was on it, who I knew. And I said to a mate who I'd taken to watch it, I was like, I'm going to do this next year. And I'm like so not like that, and it's the only time I've ever manifested something successfully. But that's naivety. I didn't know how hard it was to get and how many people would be going for it. Then they do like 3 nights of auditions in London, and you're just doing 5 minutes. And I remember it just went really well. And then I still didn't hear about it. And then Nick Helm said, no, I don't want to do it. And so I was the 5th choice out of 4. And so I got it because Nick Helm was like, you weren't allowed to do another show if you were doing that. And he wanted to do his solo show.
Yeah.
And so I got it because, thank God for Nick Helm being too ahead of his time. He was like, nah, I'll do an hour. And the first night of doing the Comedy Reserve is the first time I'd ever done longer than 10 minutes on stage. You had to do 15 a night. Yeah. I mean, it was a horrible month. I bombed every day. It was awful. But
so how long was you on stage for?
15. But I was like stretching a 10 out. And so I would have to write every day to try and get this extra 5. But it was just a hard gig. So like stuff would never work. You know what I mean? It would be like okay, but it was never great.
But you say you bombed every night, but was that just you like looking back at the material and you're like, wasn't my best work? Because I feel like with Edinburgh, I feel like the audiences there are much nicer in terms of when you have to like do like your 50 minutes at a club. Do you know what I mean? If you're at like a professional club, you're like, okay, this is. Whereas I feel like at Edinburgh, the audiences are like, we just paying £5-10.
They're not going to heckle you like they would at a club. They're not going to like sense weakness, but they're easier they'll go with experimentation a lot more.
Okay.
But I wasn't really doing that. I was doing normal club stand-up.
Yeah.
And so you almost want it to be a club atmosphere because you want, like, there's nothing better than a rowdy crowd that's on your side.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best feeling. but they were never going to be a rowdy crowd in Edinburgh because it was like a 50-seater. It's like it looks like a lecture hall.
Yeah.
It's never going to have atmosphere of that. They don't know what they've come to.
Yeah.
There's all these great solo shows of like people doing really interesting things, and they're coming to watch like a mixed bill thing of like, oh, these are the stars of the future or whatever. And then we were all kind of struggling, except for one guy, Daniel Simonson, Norwegian comedian who now lives in New York. And we were supposed to rotate the order every night, and after like 2 days we were like, you go on last. None of us want to go on after you, because he was just the only one who would kill it.
He
and
was
all
smashing
of us,
it every night. Yeah,
the rest of us would just struggle. But they definitely would go with more, and also they wouldn't have. I don't know if the audiences would have left being like they all bombed. They'd have been like, oh, that was interesting.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't have been like, that was really funny.
Because I've always found with like Edinburgh, you can't really do like gag stand-up club stuff there, because everyone is doing like stuff that's like so personal, but you might get like an act who is like for an hour, that guy who does a competition 5 minutes and has a suitcase with loads of props, he really comes to life in the hour. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is what my hour is, in terms of like, this is what the whole show is based around. I've always felt like if you go to Edinburgh with a load of gags and you're like, I'm very gaggy, I've got this bit, I've got that bit there, I just feel like the audience are a bit like, we've kind of come to see a play.
All my reviews in Edinburgh would be like, what a breath of fresh air. He's just doing jokes. What a lovely palate cleanser for the rest of the festival. And you're like, the comedy festival. And the guy doing jokes is standing out. What are you on about? I always found that so frustrating. Even like literally the 2023 tour I did, I went and did it in Edinburgh for a week, and every review was like, wow, how is he doing this? There's no emotional heft in this at all. He's just making us laugh. This is incredible. And I'm like, because I didn't write it for the Edinburgh Fringe. I wrote it to go around the rest of the country where they don't want you to do that.
It's the complete opposite. When you start like touring, they're almost like, we just want a night out and we want some jokes. We don't want anything too personal. Yeah. We don't want anything heavy. We're like, oh yeah, man.
Unless you can make that hilarious.
Yeah.
But in Edinburgh, people can fall in the trap of trying to force that trauma or that heft or something like that personal bit into it when it shouldn't be there, or it's not necessary. I've sort of done that in early shows where I was like, okay, I need that bit. People would call it like the sad bit at 40 minutes or whatever. But it's like you sort of learn as soon as you start touring, you like, even if you've had a successful Edinburgh with that sad bit in it, as soon as you get on tour, you're like, well, get rid of that bit. That's the bit that goes immediately.
Hey, cut
like,
that, man. Let's
just
get
do some crowd work. Do some crowd.
Yeah, because like when you're on tour, the first 15 minutes is crowd work in the place that you're in.
Yeah.
So, especially if you go to those places where like they just want to laugh. They've had some drinks. We're in Coventry. They just want to get to the jokes.
In my experience, they don't want to laugh in Coventry. They don't want to do anything.
Coventry. You didn't like it?
I struggle in Coventry every time. Coventry's on my list, man. That's one of the few on my list that I was like, Coventry, after I did it on the last tour.
Where's your list? That's you're like, oh, hard.
Not going back there.
Not like going back, but you're like, oh, man, this is going to be a tough one, man.
Coventry, definitely hard work.
Yeah.
Well, it's not hard, but there's this run of gigs run by this loveliest man, but it's in Barnard Castle and I think Hexham and a couple of these like quite remote northern places, and the gigs are actually fun, but the crowd are very old, and so you have to. The gig has to be about, for me, how much younger I am than the crowd. Like I can't. Everything I talk about has to be through the lens of, I know you don't know what I'm on about, but. And so you make it work. And actually what I found on my last tour is like lots of the crowds were older than I expected them to be. Yeah. And so just from ad-libbing, you end up with 15 minutes of stuff about the crowd's age that they laugh at. It's not like that insulting. Yeah. But then I got back to Hackney Empire and I was just like muscle memory. I'm just saying like, oh, this crowd's so... And then I'm looking at everyone's 22 and just looking like, what? We're in Hackney. What are you on about? We got blue hair. And so I just lost 15 minutes of the show immediately and had to just be like, okay, all right, I'll do some chat.
Yeah.
But Coventry's the one that became a punchline for the rest of the show, for the rest of the tour, because I would just be like, I just was doing like, at least we're not in Coventry.
Yeah.
For the rest of the tour.
Coventry was nice for me. I'll tell you what was really hard when I first toured there was when I'd done Norwich.
Oh, really? I love Norwich.
Fucking hell.
Really?
Norwich Playhouse?
Yeah, love it.
That left a mark on me, man.
Really?
That was
Interesting.
So what it was, we was in Norwich for... I had 2 shows there. This was probably like 2018, 2019. We had a show on a Tuesday. We had Wednesday off, and we had a show there on the Thursday. So we had stayed there from Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday we went home. That Wednesday, it was like...
You were desperate to leave.
Oh my God, it made me so
I can't believe I've got to do another one. Yeah.
You know, anyone listening that's from Norwich, like... it's a beautiful place. I was like, this place is really nice, untouched, old castles, old churches and stuff like this. But when it got to the point where we went to we went bowling, and we had bowled so long that we were like, fuck, man, this is fucking... Bowling is one of the most funnest things you can do, because the aim is...
But you bowled yourself bored.
We got so bored that we was like, all right, let's go and play some of the arcade games.
Yeah.
We played the arcade games for so long that I was like, I've probably spent at least £200 in here.
But you're in this great cultural, historic city. There's so much culture and history in Norwich.
Time has never gone slower in Norwich.
You're bowling, bro. And you're in the arcade.
Listen, man, we went to... They had like a... You know when they've got like an outlet? We went to like an outlet, so we went to like, oh, cool, we'll go to the outlet. We get some discount.
Why are you're just hitting all these things you can do in any city or town in the country?
Come on, man.
When you're in Norwich, there's so many cool things.
Like what?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in and out. I'll do the gig and I go out.
Well, I tell you, we got so bored that we were like, time, it just felt like it was going so slow. We was like, nighttime, we had planned, we're like, okay, cool, we're gonna do some fun stuff. We went cinema.
Yeah. And
then we were like, okay, I'll tell you.
You are having a sort of 13-year-old boy's dream day out. Then we went rollerblading. We blew some bubbles and we had hiccups for an hour.
We went to Great Yarmouth.
Right, yeah.
We drove to Great Yarmouth and we went to the casino.
Fucking hell, come on. You keep opening it up like we went to Great Yarmouth. And then, of course, you go to somewhere. And then we went on log flume.
We went to the casino. Because this was a stage in my life where I was just like, I really used to like going to casinos. I didn't have a gambling addiction or nothing, but I was like, this is quite fun.
I've been in this phase of my life.
So we went to the casino.
Did you have a system?
So my game was roulette.
And did you do the martingale system?
What's this one?
Wow, I had a period where I was martingaling it a lot.
What's that?
And I was dragging people into it. The martingale system in roulette is basically doubling down on a supposed 50-50 choice.
Yeah.
You always win eventually.
Yeah.
So let's say you choose red or black. Let's say you choose red.
Yeah.
So you start with £10 on there. If it loses, you put £20 on there. And then if that wins, you just go back to 10 each time. And so over time, it does mean sometimes you have to get to putting like 500 down on, because you're just doubling it every time. So it'd be like 10, 20, 40, 80. It gets to like 360, I think. And that's when like you have to have enough money that you... And also they have limits on what you can do.
Yeah,
but in theory, it should never happen enough that you don't win money, even though you're doing it in increments of 10. And so for a period, me and my friend Adam would go and do this, and we would just do it every day. And then as soon as we got to £100 profit, we would leave every day.
Yeah.
And then we were doing this, it was great. And we had so much cash because we were just like, fuck it, let's do the martingale system. Because we thought obviously the zero means that this doesn't work over time and the casino always wins. But we were doing this, and it was just like a really fun, like stupid, dumb thing to do. Then I went on holiday and I came back and he just had all this cash because he had just been doing it while I was away. Then eventually we got back and he was like, let's go. I'm doing it every day. I've got loads of money. Let's go. We did it. And it got to a point where he'd had like 12 spins in a row that had gone against him. And he would have had to put down like £2,000 or something on this. And he was like, I'm out. We've got to go. I'm not doing that. Because then you think the odds are in your favour, and then when it comes to putting down a big chunk of money on one of the things, it does just feel 50-50. All of a sudden. And you go, it's always 50-50.
I didn't know. I didn't know this, man.
But that was like, that was just like a classic example of me being like in my early 20s thinking I'm fucking Ocean's 11. Thinking like I'm tricking the casino. They would look at, the croupiers would look at you like you're a fucking idiot. Because they know exactly what you're doing. And they'd be like, oh, it's one of these dickheads who thinks that he's solved the system, the ancient casino system where we famously always win. And we would also be like, make sure the cameras don't see you doing it, because we thought we were doing so. It's not illegal. Casinos want you to do this. But that was how I would do it. But what would you do? Just you're doing random numbers?
So I would always do 32, 34, 36.
Okay.
I'd do my old door number, 31. And then the rest I would put money based on footballers I like. So number 7, David Beckham. Number 14, Henry. Number 9, Ronaldo.
Was this a profitable system?
Do you know what? It's weird because I first started playing roulette when I went to Vegas. And I won. First time ever.
That's how they get you.
And I won. I won a lot of money, to the point where I went back to the guys, and my friends was in the room because like one of our friends had run out of money. So they was having a debrief meeting of like, okay guys, we're going to get a table, but we ain't got enough money. And I walk in and I've got, like when you get dollars in a casino, there's something about getting dollars where you're like, whoa, this is, whoa, man. Especially those ones.
You mean
as well.
dollars like more than getting like pounds?
Yeah, it's like you got it might be like 20. You got 21s. So you're like, wow, fucking hell, look at that wad there, and I've got like $100 bill. So I'm like, wow, look at that. And I think I won about $500. I'm not too sure, off just $25. Took a friend of mine to Taco Bell. I felt like the man. I was like, bro, get whatever you want in Taco Bell. Like, it's on me. And then coming back, and all my friends were like, what? I was like, I want some money. And everyone was like, how much? I was like, $500. I had friends asking me, so how do you do it? How do you do it, man? So I was like, yeah, man. You know, you wanna bet on red. Like,
red always wins, famously. yeah.
To the point where the next day I started betting again. I got lucky again. And then I started coming up with phrases. You know, one of my friends was like, what should I bet on? I was like, bet on red. There's no bloodshed. And I kept winning and winning and winning. So at this point, like, I went to Great Yarmouth.
That's like tails never fails in a coin flip.
Go to Great Yarmouth and we get to the casino. Now, I'm seeing people put, you know, their money down on the numbers. And at this stage, I was like, I don't really do the numbers. I do red or black. And I'm seeing guys put all these chips on. So I'm like, right, we've got some high rollers here in Great Yarmouth. So I'm like, oh, boss, let me change up. I've got £80. Can I get fives? Put them into fives. He's like, yeah. So he gives me 5. So I'm like, all right, cool. I start spread betting. This one guy, he wins big. And I can't remember. He's got a lot of chips on like a number. And, you know, he doubles. He gives him these chips. I was like, oh, cool, man. I was like, wow, man. People, like, I'm seeing people win with these big chips. So I said to him, oh, bro, how much did you start with? He goes, oh, mate, it was 50p. I'm like, 50p? And I'm here with fucking £5 on a number. And then everyone would just put like 50. One guy was like, yeah, I put a pound on. Yeah. I was like, yeah, no.
You're not in Vegas anymore. You're in Great Yarmouth.
Yeah. I was
these
like,
are 50p. These are the 2p machines, basically.
Yeah. I was like, okay, fair enough, man. But no, that Norwich for me was...
when I was a kid, like, it was secondary school. I was probably 14. I tried to run a casino in my house.
In your house?
For one night, and then my parents shut it down. I remember going to school. I'd like made a roulette board out of paper and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like into blackjack and poker and stuff like that. And so I like had deck of cards, and it was like I'd like laid it all out on the table before I'd gone to school. And then I went to school and I was like, casino at my house tonight, £1 entry. And it was
really?
like, and then bring money to like gamble with.
It sounds like a vibe,
and
you know?
I was like, yeah. And then I got home and I was like at the door like a bouncer being like, where's your pound? And my mum came in and was like, you can't charge people to come into our house. What the hell are you doing? And I was like, Mum, I'm a businessman. I'm trying to be an entrepreneur. What the hell are you talking about? And then it just got shut down immediately. I think they came in and then we like played poker or something, but just like friendly. Yeah. Because she was like, this is insane. Cold, man. This house is not
Listen,
a casino.
if my child done that, I'd be like, listen, how can I get in on this?
Exactly.
I'd be hustling, man.
The house always wins.
Yeah.
I took that very literally.
Oh, that's
My
sick,
house
man.
will always win. Yeah. But it only happened once and then...
Your parents shut it down, man.
Got shut down.
So where you are now within your middle is like, I feel like what I really rate about you is like watching you on Mock the Week is, bro, like, I think once I got to do like television and I went on, I don't know, I've been on the odd few panel shows, but Mock the Week is not a joke. And bro, you're fucking cold on that, man.
Oh, thank you.
Like,
thank you very much.
I know like a few comics that have done it and they've all said, yeah, like that is, a lot of comics I know who have done it is like, they've all said how hard it is. But you make it look very, very easy. But it's also one of those shows that's like, it's been around for so long, but it's such a staple. But I feel like there's a lot of comics that I've worked alongside or I've seen or I admire their work, and like seeing a comic that you see on that's when you're like, oh yeah, like I know that's not a joke on that show. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
How did you find it?
Yeah, I was lucky because all the chat about it before, it had a reputation before I got on it of it's a bear pit and you'll never get a word in, and everyone's trying to fuck you over on that show. But by the time I got on it, it hadn't been like that for a while, I don't think. And it was lots of like the sort of school year in comedy above me were on it, and they're sort of friends of mine. So, you know, you're told all this stuff like it's a bear pit and everyone's trying to fuck you over. But the day before we did the recording, Rob Beckett phoned me and said, good luck, man. He was on it with me, but he was like, good luck, man. Here's how you do it. Like, here's a bit of advice or whatever of how to play it. Ed Gamble was on. He'd always sort of like, you know, help me with lots of advice and stuff anyway. So he was like always going to have my back on the show and try and team me up and stuff like that. Gary Delaney on the day came to my dressing room, was like, I know you've done a few panel show bits before, but here's the sort of intricacies of this one, here's how to play it. And it was all just advice. Like, it's so fast moving that you're going to have to say a lot of new material, basically. You're riffing a lot, and stuff will bomb, obviously.
But
it's so fast moving, the audience won't even notice. So don't be embarrassed. We're all going to say stuff that doesn't land, but someone will already be talking. So they won't even notice they didn't laugh. They'd just be like, oh, I've got to look over there now at a joke that is going to work or whatever. And like, it resets. They don't think this guy's not funny. It just resets every joke. Because that's a show, really, compared to most other of the panel shows, that was about the joke, not really about the personality, I think. So like, A Cat's Countdown is a bit more about your persona, I think. Because it's just like, how would this person respond to this game, effectively? Whereas you could go on Mock the Week and just sort of be all about the writing or the ideas. You could also go on and be a personality person like James Acaster did, or Milton Jones.
You've written on the shows as well, right?
Yeah, I did. Before I did them, I would like write on some of those shows. And that sort of helps because you just sort of know you see the mechanics of it. But I just think I was lucky because Mock the Week was a show that suited my style massively, which is very like short, like few words, word economy, and trying to get idea. Because I kind of learned that from just like posting jokes on Twitter. I just learned you've got to get these jokes as short as possible because at the time I only had 140 characters. And so it just made me efficient with words and that sort of stuff. And then when Mock the Week came, it was just like, yeah, that's what that is. That last round, especially when you're going into the middle, that's tweets. So it's like, how can you translate this? And it was the perfect show for it. So I was very grateful. And actually, as it went on, as it goes on and you get more comfortable on a show like that, it does become a bit more about the personality and you prep a bit less. And you've got a good dynamic with Dara and Hugh and the others who are going to be on it. And you can sort of like, you get a bit more comfortable to lean back in that chair, to not look at your notes and to just be like, it's all right. You know, you still need your jokes and stuff, but like, actually, we can just talk about Theresa May in quite a light way and just like try and make it funny and see what happens. And the best feeling on that show is when Dara would take something you'd said and sort of run with it and improvise with it and build a scene around it kind of thing and imagine it and do voices and stuff like that. That's when you knew like you'd hit on a comedy idea. When he would then be like, right, and then if you did the thing that was the runner, like the running joke for the episode, and you started it, it was just a ultimate feeling of like that all came from an idea I said. Because it's so disposable because everyone's saying so many jokes that you say something and it's just gone. But when it's like, no, we're going to keep coming back to that one. That was like fucking comedy heaven.
Oh shit, yeah, that's because I've done a few panel shows, but like I've done Big Fat Quiz of the Year, which I think for me works in a sense of because it's topical, and especially if you work alongside another comic. Like I worked with Kevin Bridges, who's just like seeing him work, but just like someone that I admire as a comic. And I probably spent 90% of that show just laughing at whatever he was saying. And just trying to bounce off because I was like, I just like you as a comic, bro. And the fact that we were on a team together, I was like, hey man, I ain't really got to write too much today. But I feel like that was as a panel show, it was a show I was like, this I think aids me. I remember I don't know if did you do the audition for 8 out of 10 Cats?
Oh God, yeah. Loads of times. Countless times.
So for anyone listening,
horrible.
Basically, when you do 8 out of 10 Cats, you do this audition, which is I think when I done it, it was in, is it Tiger Aspect?
Yeah, it's just in the offices of, it's just like a meeting room.
Yeah. And we've spoken about it previously on this podcast with some other comics and stuff. But my God, man, that is like, it's one thing doing these like comedy competitions where you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'll see how it goes. It's based on the audience.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's a show, and I remember telling my friends and I was just like, yeah, I got an audition, man. 8 out of 10 Cats. And my friends were like, really? Oh, that's big, man. Yeah, because there is this thing where I feel like there used to be a time where, and I think like that's really, I think also aided yourself as well, where, you know, like if you're successful on a show like, you know, Mock the Week, then you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I will see you on this other show. And that could also help you possibly, you know, maybe do a tour and build up your reputation and stuff as well. And not to say that doesn't happen now. I just think now it's just a lot more open in terms of you can put crowd work clips up, you can do sketches.
Yeah, you can go a bit more direct.
Yeah. But I think definitely like if you are good on a panel show, it's almost like, yeah, like I can if you know you've done one before, you're like, I could do another one of these.
Yeah.
But
And actually,
the audition stage.
The audition is the worst part by miles.
Oh my God, man!
Because it's not. I mean, a panel show is to an audience of 300-400 people, and the auditions is to an audience of 20 disinterested people who are like, "Oh, I've got to go watch that." I'm sort of in the middle of something.
They were like on lunch breaks and
stuff.
Yeah.
And also, it's like you kind of know who the head honcho is. It's really hard not to deliver everything to them. Like you're looking at, that's the person who's in charge, the person with the clipboard.
Yeah.
Every punchline, you're sort of like, no, she doesn't like it. All right, next one. It doesn't matter if you're making, like, Richard Osman would host them quite a lot.
It
doesn't matter if he's laughing, because he's laughing because he's a good host. And he's being nice. But you're looking at the person in charge. I did one once for Dictionary Corner. And the first, it's like you do 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes or something. But let's say it's 5 minutes. 2.5 minutes, I'm annihilated. I'm having the gig of my life. I'm thinking, well, I'm about to be the new Susie Dent here. I'm the funniest person anyone's ever seen. This is incredible. And then I just it just went from that to just silence for the rest of it. The next bit, so it was like I had like two halves of like a bit. And when I started doing my second bit, they were just like, no, we hate this bit. And I was like, no, I wish it could have been the other way around, so that you leave thinking, oh, okay, that started a bit slow, but it got really good. But it just was like, what happened? I just fell off an absolute cliff. And I just like, people were like looking at their feet and stuff. It was so awkward.
It's so demoralising, man. But it's weird stuff. Because I think with comedy, like, we're used to having a bad gig where like, or like, not even used to, but we know when we go on this stage, like, the outcome is either great, you laugh, or you're not going to laugh. But you're like, that's what we put ourselves into, whether we are established or whether we're starting off or whether we're at a competition. But when you do an audition for a thing where you're like, this is not even based on how funny I am, but also, it's like, because they always say, I remember like, they're like, yeah, you know, just laugh at other people's stuff too. So I remember I said one joke, it was not funny, man. Man, it was so not funny. So I spent the majority of the audition just laughing at everyone's stuff.
Right.
I look like a fucking crackhead, bro. You would have just been like, right, this guy's having a great time. He's not saying anything funny. And it's just like, just smile. Someone said to me, just smile and just laugh. It looks like you're having a great time. So I was like, yeah. Fuck. It was horrible. It's such
weird
bro.
Advice because, like, did Sean Locke do that? Do I associate him with just constantly laughing at everyone's stuff? Not massively.
So horrible, man.
So I don't know that that's necessarily true. Jimmy Carr's very good at laughing.
Yes,
at all the stuff.
yeah. But that's
the host job. It's different.
His laugh is iconic. He's got that real iconic
and also
laugh.
He's getting a laugh for his laugh.
Yes, yeah, and he's Jimmy Carr in it. So you're like, he's running the show. Do you know what I mean? He can give a joke and he can take one, but you're like, he's running the show. Whereas when I'm like, you're like a newbie. You're like, who this guy? Nah, bro. Get out of it. Oh my god,
man. It's just, you're making me
horrible, man.
Heart palpitations thinking about doing those auditions. God, yeah, that's the good thing about Mock the Week. There wasn't one.
Yeah,
they just came to watch your show, and then they were like, "Yeah, you can do it." But
and now you're in that you're in a space where you're writing as well. You've got a new book out as well.
Yeah.
And you're going on a book tour. How does this really like elevate what you do in a sense of, because I feel like, you know, you have people that will come to your show based on, like, you know, the material that they've seen or your tweets, or seeing you on Mock the Week, where, you know, you've built like a really solid, like, and trusting fan base as well. And, you know, like now where you're writing, and is there a pressure of writing a book that feels like, oh, this must be really, really funny? Because, you know, it's like on Twitter, you know, you'd have like tweets that would go viral. And I don't know if you have this, where do you have, because your tweets are so funny, do you have people that essentially, well, not so much people, but like people that steal your jokes?
Oh god, yeah.
But make it out as their tweet.
Back in the day, that would happen all the time, yeah.
But do you have people that would do it as material? So like,
interesting. Not that I don't. I never had it nicked. I never had stuff nicked by a comedian.
Yeah,
it would be more like a platform, like Lad Bible. They would just drop your name out and then just post it.
Yeah.
And so it was more like all of those things were doing that all the time. But I couldn't care less about that sort of thing now at all. I just really don't give a shit about that. And like, you know, if you have like a big like reel or a TikTok or something, then someone just like reposts it on their platform. I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But partly, I guess that's because, like, well, my face is in that. You can't remove my face from that as much as you want to. So, like, that is me, even though you're not tagging me. It's like, who cares? But I was precious about it at the time. I would be like, this is my joke. And sometimes a comedian would do one that you've done and you'd be like, I've actually already done that joke. And they go, well, actually, I already did it 2 years ago and I'm repeating it. And I'd be like, fuck, this is so embarrassing. But always it's like, great minds. It's always that bullshit. Yeah. And then actually I just found that so tedious. But no, with the book, basically, it's like I just set out to write a funny book. But also like it's much more open than my stand-up is, because my stand-up is designed to be funny every 10 seconds. So like I say, like the whole, Edinburgh being, it's not about trauma, my book, at all. But it is much more an exploration of like who I grew up being and the sort of feelings around that. But just accidentally, effectively, I can't not write it like stand-up. Yeah. And so like the feedback on the book is, wow, this is like stand-up. This is written like it's really punchy, and like every sentence it turns out. Because also I was given advice from other comedians to read it out loud while writing it, not literally while typing like a maniac. But if you do a draft, read it out loud. When you do that, just like obviously your brain just works quicker than you're reading, and so you just think of jokes and you just add jokes in. You go, or you go like, oh, that's a bit long without a line that's funny, so I'll just chuck something in there, and then just instinctively it becomes quite stand-up-y and like the stories. But what I find is my persona on stage is a little bit too like high status. So if I'm embarrassed on stage, the me on stage wouldn't know that they're embarrassed. The audience would, but I wouldn't know, because I'd think I'd won in some way. And so it means that whenever something embarrassing happens in my life, you know how comedians are like, great, I've got 5 minutes of material now. I can't do it. Because if I tell stories of embarrassing things that happen to me, the audience are like, you've just been telling us you're the best. You've just been acting like you're right. You can't now be low status. It doesn't work. So I just put them all in the book. So everything that's embarrassing that's happened to me throughout my life is just in the book instead, and it's an exploration of like humiliation and embarrassment and stuff.
That's quite cool, because it's quite a flip. Because most of the time, it's like you're saying, as comics, we wait for the bad thing to happen to turn it into humor. Yeah. Whereas like still having that and being like, well, I've got to feed the audience of what they want, and the people that might have seen me on a television show or come to previous tours, but I'm now feeding you something different, which is in the book, and it's in a written form that you can ingest and read in your own time.
I like it being like a separate thing. Like I'm sort of using the separate medium to be like, okay, that's where I can say these things. Yeah. But on stage, it's like I'm not doing that. I'm sort of, do sort of like observational things, like about the world rather than necessarily about me, kind of thing. Yeah. But then in the book, I can be like, all right, now here's all the sort of like, I guess, sort of slightly more indulgent, but like self-effacing stuff that's having a go at me being a piece of shit or whatever. There's also things that outward look at the world and say like, people, isn't it weird how people do this? We shouldn't do this kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's like lots of it is done through a really personal lens. And I've never really been that personal while doing stand-up. It's a little bit more like my theories on the world, my worldview, rather than, this happened to me or this is how I like ultimately feel. It would be more like everyone's an idiot and here's why. Is sort of the go-to.
I think audiences love that though, when they get a little snapshot into your life through a different lens. So if it is, literature where people are like, oh, I didn't really know this about Rhys. This is really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm getting from doing some of the live book shows is like, definitely it feels like a really different thing. And also it's interesting to get the same sort of laughs that you would get at a stand-up gig, but from a completely different thing. But because I'm not,
you can sell your book at the same time.
Yeah, well, you're selling. Obviously, the whole thing is an advert for the book. Every time you're doing this gig, like someone's interviewing me, another comedian, and sometimes they'll be like taking the piss out of me or the book, and I have to keep being like, "This is an advert. I'm trying to get these people to buy this book at the end of the show. Please stop slagging it off." Yeah, but it's still fun. It's really fun to go and do it and talk, and just like talk in a way where I'm fully myself and I'm not switching on to like a slight stand-up persona.
Because you're doing a book tour, right?
Yeah. That's tour. Like in conversations and stuff like that.
That does that feel like more pressure or less pressure?
Way less.
Yeah.
Sat down.
Yeah.
It's just even the psychology of that. I'm gonna walk out, but then I'm just gonna sit in a chair.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I guess I'm not at work.
Do you have a handheld mic or do you have one of those earpiece joints?
Handheld. I keep it real.
I thought you, because I know you like Jack Whitehall and I know he does the earpiece joint.
Yeah.
I really want to do it, man.
I was into early Jack Whitehall, when he was back in the when he wasn't in the arenas, when he was holding the mic, when he remembered where he comes from, which is landed gentry.
I've always wanted to use one of those they look so
Why don't you?
fun.
You could use one of those easily.
No, but the thing is there's something about...
What are you doing with your hands?
No, but I would still use my hands but just have the mic.
But it feels a bit lectury.
Yeah.
I would just be so tempted to do this all the time and be like, so, and I'd feel like I'm doing too much of a presentation.
Yeah, I know Ricky Gervais uses some of the.
Yeah, but he kind of is
well.
doing a presentation.
Yeah,
He kind of is doing. He's got a little lectern and stuff.
Yeah. I've always wanted to use one, but I just feel like holding the mic keeps me more like in center of grounded of like, okay, cool. I can go as far as the mic can. So if the mic can only go there, I can just go there.
Yeah.
So I feel like having the earpiece in, and also for me, it would be the thing that if I'm telling a joke, I like the fact that I can move the mic closer.
Yeah. There is that.
It's some of those things, but also if it was to just stop, that would be the worst thing ever of telling a joke and you're like,
exactly. Sometimes you must have had to use those sometimes at like corporate gigs and stuff. And I always feel like
I always ask for a handheld at corporate.
Really, even with like with stand up, but when it's like I'm presenting some awards or something, and you've got to have stuff in your hand or whatever.
I've tried my best, even like television. I was like, please, just a handheld. Please. I don't even like.
It does fuck up the delivery.
I don't even like using a wireless mic. I hate using a wireless mic. I'm like, nah,
because they're always like, stop holding it at the bottom, it'll cut out, and it's like, well, this is a shit device.
Yeah.
Why? Obviously, that makes it. The technology isn't there. We don't have it yet.
Yeah.
So let's keep using wires.
Yes. Yeah.
Does my head in.
Are you one? I'm also one of those comics where, like, when you watch another comic and how they hold the mic.
Yeah.
And you watch. I like those comics that can hold it like kind of like that.
Really loose like that.
Yeah. Like, or like where you're a comic where not like you're a comic where you might watch another comic do something. And you're like, boy, I can't wait till I'm big enough to do that. Like,
and was that like holding it really low on the mic and really loose and being
like,
all...
I remember watching Dave Chappelle and he said some joke and he would hits
it on his leg.
Mic. And I was like, man, listen, one day when I get big enough,
I'm going to hit the mic on my leg. He's made it so much his thing though that if you do that, everyone will be like,
well,
that's Dave Chappelle.
I seen a comedian do it at a show. I went to a show in LA just to watch, and this comic was hitting the mic on his leg, and I was like, it's a bit Dave, man.
It's a bit Dave Chappelle.
It's a bit Dave Chappelle.
The one everyone's doing now is Shane Gillis holds the mic with two hands like this and just gestures really. He's like really tight in his body.
Oh, is it?
Gestures like this.
Yeah.
All the new acts are doing it.
Oh, really?
If you're at Top Secret or something like that,
everyone's
just going, like that. It's kind of quite Trump because he does the Trump impression.
Yeah.
Just always little hand gestures.
Have you ever done a mic drop?
Not on purpose.
No.
Have you?
I think I've done
like
one
on a
once.
joke and then just like I'm out.
Because I remember seeing Chris Rock do it. Chris Rock, I think, was the first comic I ever seen do a mic drop. But Chris Rock's one was the best because it was so high. He would tell a joke and be like, New York, I'm out. Bow. And it would drop and people would get up. And I was like, I'm fucking doing that, bruv.
I can see why you would think that. It really would not suit my style.
But it doesn't work. It would be
a punchline if I did.
But you know what it is? I just think it's such an American thing to be like, I'm so good.
It's confidence in that way. British people do not like to see that.
They don't. No. Because the first thing.
He's a bit too big for his boots. So,
they're like, what? Why? He's damaging the mic.
Yeah.
What? That wasn't nice. And I done it on a show where this is at a point where I was just like on a lineup of comics. And I was like, I'm going to drop the fucking mic.
Wait, when someone had to come on after you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the comedian hosting, I can't remember who it was, and he picked up the mic, but he said something back on the mic and he was just like, yeah, bro, like, don't ever drop the mic again, bro.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, fuck. So
on a mixed bill, if the guy before me dropped the mic, my whole set would be about that. All I would talk about was how you just dropped the mic.
Bro, it was not dropping the mic worthy enough. For me, I was like, even when I look back, it was so cringe.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, man, that was so
Thanks
embarrassing
for me.
Make
sure to follow me on Instagram. Good night. Alex Turner famously did it, the lead singer of Arctic Monkeys, at the Brits or something like that. And he did this insane speech, and he's saying like, oh, that good old-fashioned rock and roll, it just won't go away. And he's doing this speech of like, it may hibernate from time to time, but it always rears its head around again. And then he just goes, this has been a delight to make this album. Invoice me for the microphone. And then but he does his admin pre the drop. If you need to, invoice me for the mic. And then it's gone.
That's a bardo.
Well, that's how you get the public to be on your side. It's like, oh, he is going to pay for it. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
No one's out of pocket as a result.
So Rhys, as you now you're in a space of you do live shows, you have been on television, you've got a really nice fan base that will follow you and be really interested in what you're doing, whether it's covering for people on radio, whether it's doing podcasts and stuff, and even like now where you're doing a book tour, like which is kind of like I guess for you, you're like it's doing stand up, but you're also able to promote a thing where you're like all the jokes are in this thing, so I don't even have to turn up and be like, okay, cool, because I know the pressure of like when you're saying you got to go to Coventry, be like, I don't know if they're gonna find this funny, or is this going to be any good in Norwich, where now you're in a place where you're like, the people coming like my stuff, and they've not even paid to really hear any jokes tonight, they just want to buy the book. So as a comedian, where do you start to like look at your end of how you want to start, I guess almost like piecing like everything together? Because comedian to comedian, I feel like us comics, the older we get, the more experience we have, where we'd be like, okay, this works, that doesn't work. How do you start looking at your end where, you have, like you're saying, you admire like a comedian like Jack Whitehall or, Russell Howard. How do you start looking towards your end where you have, you probably have a younger, Rhys James who looks up towards, your stuff, who follows you on Twitter and wants to laugh at your jokes but still read your book. How do you start to aid that part of your career?
Well, I think it's like I thought this before writing the book, but it's sort of solidified a lot. It's like it's like expanding into other mediums slightly, and so like I would love to like direct, I would love to like write screenplays and stuff like that, and be in that world. I would like to act. I'm less fussed. I would like quite happily write and direct a film and not be in it. If you know what I mean. I've done Oliver, so I don't really need to do that. I've got that out of my system. And just like different ways to explore like how to be funny, because like I say, it's like quite different being funny in a book. Like as much as it's written a bit like stand-up, it feels a very different way of being funny. And there's like with stand-up, there's ideas I would have abandoned because they didn't get a laugh in the first 10 seconds that you just have a bit more space to explore in a book, and like, I can delve a bit deeper before we get to all the laughs kind of thing, and you don't feel that pressure of like eyes on you. And because reading a book is such a personal experience, you're talking to one person rather than 500 or whatever. So and like a film, I guess, is another thing. It's like a completely different thing. So I'd like I would like opportunities to do that are sort of what I'm going after, relatively unsuccessfully at the moment, but that's if we're looking at an end point, those sorts of things. In terms of legacy, the main thing I care about is being someone who doesn't care about legacy. What I would love everyone to say about me when I die is he was an absolutely brilliant writer and comedian who definitely didn't care about legacy. He was incredible, and he doesn't care that we thought he was incredible, which obviously means I so care. But like, I think the idea of legacy is intrinsically a bad thing. And it just holds you back. It can only hold you back. But it's fucking hard to escape, like how other people perceive you and people's opinions of you. It's hard not to think of that.
Because there might be someone else that writes it for you.
Right.
You might be in a space where, like, in the next 20 years, someone is documenting everything you've done to then put it all in a book.
Right.
That's not even written by you. That's like,
that's it. You can't, like, legacy is one of those things you just absolutely can't be in control of. And every time you can see when someone's trying to control it and they're gripping the cup too tight, and it's just like, what, you've got to let go and just like do things you want to do and hope for the best that it ends up being this. But like, who cares? You can't take it with you. So just like, but ultimately, I've written a book effectively about how massively concerned I spent my childhood with other people's opinions of me, how scared I was of being embarrassed, and how it would make me avoidant, and I wouldn't go to things because I would think, fuck, what if this happens, and all that sort of stuff, and all the humiliating things that have happened that didn't matter at all in the scheme of things. So I clearly do care about perception. I wish I didn't, and so therefore my dream is that everyone says he didn't care about how he was perceived. That's the absolute dream.
And he didn't care about the legacy.
He didn't care about the legacy. And then I'll be like, yes, it worked. My legacy. They don't think I care about this. Yeah, that's the only thing that I actually care about them saying, is that I didn't care.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Well, Rhys, man, it's been nice to properly touch base, because I think we've only ever seen each other.
We crossed paths a lot.
In paths. Yeah, just like, hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Good to see you, man. How's things, man?
Yeah.
But no, man, you're incredibly funny. But also, it's like your journey is so similar. Also, to mine in ways of like how you are like a creative that, I don't know. It's like when you talk about acting and from an early age and your route into stand-up, where a lot of comics, we get into the space of comedy where we're like, I'm funny at this thing, but I also like this thing. I like directing, but when I was young, I'd done a bit of acting. And I guess it's like you've probably found the perfect place where you're like, this is the thing I'm going to hone into because it gives me the most joy. And those things are things that I'll tap into it if the opportunity arises, but I get probably more joy of just like being in control of the thing that I like to do.
Well, people always want to, I think it's always like you want something else. You know, if you whatever you've got, you sort of always want something else, no matter what that thing is that you've got. And you sort of do have to take stock of it and go like, I spent sort of 17 years trying to get good at stand-up. Don't chuck it away because I'm bored. You know, just make yourself not bored by writing new stuff and like trying to be present in the gigs and stuff like that, and not just phoning it in and stuff. That's the way to do it. Don't chuck this away just because it's like, oh, but now I want to try this thing. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself. And that's why you have to just keep putting gigs in the diary and then like showing up. But when I say showing up, I don't just mean literally. I mean like on stage showing up for the crowd and being like, I do this thing when I'm in those ruts. I just do this thing where I just like think, how long can you go in your set before you start? You know what I mean? Before you actually start saying any of your jokes. Whether that's crowd work, which for me it often isn't. More just like commenting on the environment and how much riffing can you do about, oh, that person's doing, like, it's not a conversation. It's just like, oh, the room looks like this, or the people in this town must be like this, or whatever you can do. How long can you get with good laughs before you think, okay, I'm out. I've got to start my material now, which I know is going to work or whatever. And that's what just keeps you like, I think, feeling fresh about the art form of stand-up comedy or the craft maybe rather than art form. But definitely, like, I think all stand-ups get in ruts, and like every stand-up who's on tour will just be talking about like, oh, fucking hell, I'm not doing a tour again. They all do that while they're on tour. As soon as they're off tour, they're like, I got to get on tour. This is so boring. But this is why comedians write books. They write books because they were on tour thinking, I want to stay at home for a year. Get me a book deal. I don't want to have to go on. I don't want to have to go to Norwich for 3 days.
And then you get home and you're like,
you're writing the book thinking, fucking hell, I need to do some stand-up.
Tour, man. Man, 100%, man.
But that's it. That's what being a human is. The cyclical nature of all of it. Everyone's just thinking like, what's the other thing I could be doing? And then as soon as you're doing that, you know, this grass is always greener, isn't it? So, but that's why it's good to do multiple things. So that you can just do it in. And I'm a project guy. I'm an all in on a project guy. I'm not multiple spinning plates guy. I can't do it. My head doesn't work like that. So when I hear about these like comics who are just like, oh, and then I had to get on a motorbike to go to this thing really quickly and get to there because then I was doing a corporate for this, but then I had to go, I was presenting a TV show for BBC Two, but then I had to get back because I was doing my tour. I'm just like, I can't do that. It needs to be like, I'm doing this, so I'm cancelling everything else while I'm doing this. Because I've got to be all in on a project, because I just get so wound up if I can see that I'm not doing it to the full ability, if you know what I mean. So like there'd be people who'd go try their like scenes we like to see jokes from Mock the Week like the night before the recordings, and I'd be like, what are you doing? I'm writing all night. I can't go out. I've got to be at this desk. The performance is tomorrow.
That's a proper, if we go back to football analogies, that's a proper centre midfielder, boy. I'm getting stuck in. I'm here for the slide tackles. Yeah, I'm managing box to box.
I'm not on a night out with Jack Grealish, okay? I'm getting my head down early. I'm watching a film and I'm going to sleep in the hotel.
Put it on the keeper. I'm going up for the goal. Put it right on the keeper. Rhys, man, it's been a pleasure, man, and it's been just nice just to properly sit down and just connect, man.
Pleasure, thank you.
Tickets for your book tour, are they available still? Are they sold out?
Yeah, I don't know when this is going out. It might be finished. There might be one left. There might be one show left, but
people can buy the book.
But I think that show will be in Norwich at the Playhouse, so maybe don't come.
Hey, Rhys,
Mo wouldn't want you to come.
Listen, I've
always
Norwich.
had a great time in the Norwich Playhouse.
Just for anyone listening, I do like Norwich.
No, you just had a bad time.
But in 2018, it wasn't fun for me in Norwich.
Yeah, fine.
But I will go
There's
back.
one left there. I think Anya Magliano's interviewing me there. I think that'll be on rhysjames.co.uk. Otherwise, get the book.
Have you bought your own book yet in the shop?
Well, not in a shop. I ordered 4 copies of it to test how that would affect the Amazon chart.
Yeah.
And it went down.
Is it?
Yeah, it went down like 1,000 places. I think it's like they go, that's you, mate. We know that's you. How dare you?
Shit.
And I did that. And then there's a big chapter in the book about how much I hate my neighbours. And then I wasn't in when it got delivered and went to them. And I was absolutely shitting myself that they were going to read this book and be like, what the fuck, man? Yeah. So get it just for that chapter and knowing that awkwardness happened.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, listen, Rhys, this has been your beginning. middle, and end. Thank you very much for coming
what a
on the
pleasure.
podcast,
Thank
bro.
you.
Really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
that, man. Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. Now, a lot goes into making each episode. I know you hear my voice, but there's a team behind the scenes who help make it. And if you did enjoy it, I'd really, really appreciate if you could show the love to them by giving us 5 stars. And if you also have the time, please leave us a review. It's always appreciated, and we love reading the comments. And of course, we want to keep making it better. Thank you for listening, and have a great day. Peace.